When I knew I was going to retire from television, and at that particular time I was asked would I stay on for another 3-year contract to assist not only them but CTV and traveling coast to coast. But I was asked would I start up a charity, a registered charity for them. I said okay, but I have some very stringent thoughts about that, as I do on most subjects in the world. I said, first of all, I'd like to be assured that I do not have to utilize individuals because they're large advertisers on television. No, they wouldn't have to do that. I said, secondly, if we were to help anybody within our range area, which is central and northern Alberta, I don't want us to exploit those individuals and pat ourselves on the back that we helped Johnny Jones from Red Deer get a new pair of boots, whatever the case might be. We did that. And at that time, we had no money whatsoever to start with. And I said, but I'm going to tell you right now, I do not want to ever seek or accept funding from ever government. I think we got to get off our hands and feet and do this on our own. And at that time, CFRN TV had about 200 employees, and they paid $25 a year, not a month, a year, for full parking with a plug-in. So you had a number, you knew where you parked every day, which is sort of neat. So that's $5,000 a year. And I said, I even have the audacity to have CFRN TV donate the parking funds so we can start the Good Neighbour Fund. And our accountant at that time says, that's not enough money to start. I said, yes, it is. Because if we don't start it now, when are we going to start? So in the meantime, I have to phone Revenue Canada. I want to be registered both in Ottawa and I want to be registered here. So the guy in Ottawa pulls the same thing. Well, Mr. Very stiff. It's Mr. Smith, Mr. Hogle. $5,000. How can you start a registered charity with that? I said, I don't know, Mr. Smith, but I know we can do it, and we're going to do it. Well, I doubt that very much. I said, I'll tell you what. Why don't we send you our financial reports for the first 6 months of this year, and then you might have, well, maybe I will, Well, at the end of 3 months, it's Bruce and Paul. Yeah, all of it, he said, you don't have to send me anymore. He said, you made your point, stuff like that. So we started very, very small with the Good Neighbour Fund, but I also wanted that charity not to be confined to Edmonton alone, but to rural, isolated areas of this province where they may not only don't have a charity, they may not have a service club, and they may not, in some cases, even have a church. Maybe they have to go to the church next door, in the community next door. So everybody agreed on that, and we followed that faithfully to this particular day, and I admire the people for doing that. We do what nobody else does. We operate 24/7, and it's much easier today with the dynamics of the electronic wherewithal being the way it is. But we will seek out people in the rural isolated areas. For example, I'll give you a good case. We now have charities, other charities, and social workers and politicians, preachers, and school teachers referring people to us. We even have other charities. For example, the CNIB 2 years ago asked us to assist a blind student at MacEwan University, which we did, glad to do it with electronic equipment. Did not know at the time she had a blind sister. We went and helped her also. We helped a blind student at NAIT. In the case of the 2 students, we provided them with computers, computer equipment. With a girl at NAIT who had every Christmas present stolen, she had 3 children, we bought them all brand new Christmas presents. We had a boy in Athabasca, we provided a $12,000 ceiling lift, teenage boy, quadriplegic, so his mom could take him out of his bed, over to the ceiling, into the bathtub. A girl in Red Deer, we provided the funds for her and her father to go to the University of Toronto for a rare operation down there in one of the hospitals, where she had to take a rib out of her body, had her jaw reconstructed shut for 6 weeks. We provided the transportation down and back, and while Alberta Health paid for the operation, we paid for the formula, which she had to suck through a straw for the 6 weeks she was down there. We provide textbooks, registrations for inner city kids who can't afford to play for a hockey team or whatever the case might be. We will provide moving costs, for battered women into and out of houses, etc., etc. In one particular case, we're asked by a group of nuns here to help a lady from Victoria get away from a husband who they felt would beat her to death. She ended up in Edmonton. I had to go to a hidden home. I'd never been to there before. We got her to Ottawa and had some Shriner friends take care of her overnight there, and then down to Cape Breton, because her husband did not know she was from there originally. So it's something brand new. It can be anything and everything. It can be something that, I remember one little guy out in Stony Plain, a bicycle that he could ride with his mom because he couldn't ride the bike by himself. I think simply put that we could be called a charity of last resort, and we provide a hand up rather than a handout. And we will go to people, and the letters we receive. I remember one teacher in town here, and I'll remember the little guy's name, I'll never forget, Ben. And Ben was going down, and the teacher said, "Oh, look at that billboard over there." And Ben says, "I can't see it." With that, the teacher phoned us immediately, and we said, "Yes, take him to the optometrist, get the glasses, put them on, Ben." Well, the letter we got from that family, it was just so remarkable. And we're not looking for accolades. You don't do that. You do things out of the goodness of your heart. And that is what is so near and dear, and that's why the Good Neighbour Fund continues to thrive. And I would say probably we're amongst the best charities in Canada, if not North America, as far as overhead and cost are concerned. Like when our directors have a Christmas party, the fund doesn't pay for it, we pay for that ourselves, and rightly so. Because we use every cent that comes in, it's a great opportunity.